They have manly names like that, though, right? All the plays.
Well, they have like the nickelback defense.
That's because there's 5 guys. I learned that. And a dime is because there's 6. Because there's no coin that's 6. That's American.
It means they put in an extra linebacker. It's not important, fag. No, I'm kidding.
I like the way you touched me when you said it. Is it weird that I got direction? Because that's probably not a full, just like
you the first guess. Anyway, but you know, it's funny because now we sort of have this masculinity by proxy. Because like I don't play football either.
But you watch it.
I watch it.
Yes.
Exactly.
You
We
play
watch
video
it,
games.
cheer,
Yes.
we all high five each other when some other masculine guy
Warren
does.
slapped my ass when something good happened on the screen.
And then what happened?
I didn't know whether to slap him back or if it's like a high five. I did not know. I think that was the right call. It's masculine to slap someone's ass. It is not masculine to get your ass slapped. It's an unfair dynamic.
I'm gonna go to the pro athlete on this.
Yes.
Is that? I mean, you used to wear the very short shorts, Bill.
Indeed, you know.
Used to wear.
Kids today see the old classic sports. They see us playing with those shorts, and they don't say, "Hey, don't say you're a good player." They say, "God, you guys wore really short shorts."
Yeah. But you
And,
really.
you know, this conversation reminds me of a lot of deliberations we had in the Nick locker room. This was a topic.
People were concerned about
really,
racism.
really, we're going to talk about that.
Okay. Now, the other thing I want to talk about that I want to bring the panel in on is something you said. The other masculine thing you did was stock trading.
That was the only blue state thing I did. Everything else is.
But that is like, I know stock traders think they are the masters of the universe.
Yes.
Very masculine what they do. And you reported, and I think it's very telling, that it really is just gambling, isn't it?
Well, these were day traders. And yeah.
Day traders, right.
Oh my God, yeah. They don't even know what the stocks they're buying are. They don't know what the companies do. They don't know nothing about them. They hold them for a few seconds and sell them. They're just trying to beat some other guy on the other end. And usually not even a guy, because 70% of all stocks and bond trades are done by high-frequency trading computers now.
And this is what is so upsetting, because, you know, I don't understand Wall Street. But what I worry about is I don't think they understand themselves. You know, we just saw this big loss by J.P. Morgan Chase. Okay, for them it wasn't a giant loss, but it upset a lot of people. They lost like $3 billion on a credit default swap. Do we have? Can you show the picture of what a credit default swap is? Because this is actually, there it is. This is what took down the economy. It was not poor people buying mansions. It was people making bad bets, mostly that the housing market would never go down. And now we seem to have not addressed that. If we had Dodd-Frank or some sort of regulation reform, we wouldn't have this situation happening again. And it used to be, I think, that there was the people who lent money had some stock in the game. They weren't betting against the people who they were giving money to. They wanted those companies to succeed. It seems like there is a moral failing that is going on now in our financial markets that wasn't there before.
And it's why it's so important. I mean, that's why Occupy Wall Street is such an incredibly important movement. And I think it's very important because it hasn't been co-opted by the Democratic Party. It's maintained its independence and its autonomy. And it really speaks to the struggles that if you actually go somewhere outside of New York or D.C., I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, you go there, there's a reason there's a very vibrant movement that was inspired by Occupy Wall Street and the fact that we have a fascist for a governor in that state. The fact is that people are hurting in this country, and these financial institutions, these guys should be in jail. Just like war criminals from the Cheney era should be in jail. They should be held accountable. You don't stop crime by allowing the criminals to get away, and that's what we repeatedly do. This big evil government does everything but hold criminals accountable. I mean, it's incredible that these people can walk around.
You think they should be in jail?
If they're guilty of a crime, yes. Day traders, I don't have a problem with day traders if they're using their own money and they lose their own money. But if they're using depositors' money that are insured by taxpayers, that's where I...
Well, if we just break those two things up, then Jamie Dimon can do whatever he wants, right?
But here's the thing, you know,
exactly.
like
I mean, that is the answer. You go back the way it was before the repeal of Glass-Steagall. You have investment banks that spend their own money, risk their own money. You have commercial banks.
There isn't one failure that would have been prevented by Glass-Steagall. There's not one single failure that would have been prevented by Glass-Steagall. Nothing. The two don't come together. With the institutions that we saw fail,
Really?
Washington Mutual, Wachovia, etc., they wrote crappy loans. They weren't betting with house money. They weren't running hedge funds. They weren't doing prop trading.
What did Glass-Steagall prevented banks?
A brokerage firm and deposits in the same
bank was a bank.
institution.
Right. Are you telling me nothing would have changed if that had not been changed?
There's not a single failure that occurred during the financial crisis that would have been prevented by
I'll have to check
Glass-Steagall.
those facts later. But
Let's take certainly derivatives. I mean, the law was passed
Wachovia didn't
Okay,
prohibiting.
but let me ask you
wasn't
about-
pushed into somebody's arms because of derivatives. Washington Mutual wasn't pushed
Okay.
into somebody's
But,
arms.
But we always hear this that they're
That's not a bank.
they're risk takers. I know Mitt Romney loves to talk about he's a risk taker and an innovator and a job creator. But Bain Capital somehow, even when they were wrong, they made money. Where is the risk there? Like I was reading about this firm GST Steel that they took over. They put in $8 million. They got out $12 million plus $4.5 million in consulting fees because they were so smart that the company went bankrupt, laid off 750 people, and the government had to bail out their underfunded pension for $44 billion. So wait a second. They bought a company failed, so they made a bet on a company that went wrong, but they still made money. Where is the risk taking here? And this isn't something that didn't go on all the time. This was their business plan. I'm just asking where the risk is there.
Well, in their defense, they're taking failing companies and they're trying to fix them before they die and then resell them for some kind of value.
But it did fail, and they still made money.
Well, they found some other sucker, right?
No, I think it went bankrupt. I don't think they couldn't sell it. Right.
I think they took out the money, and then that's one of the reasons why the company went down. Okay, just a question. Before we run out of time, I want to bring up again this. I thought it was just a giant story this week about minority babies. This is the first time, this is the week that it happened. I think this is what a lot of people in this country, white people, fear. I remember that book by Pat Buchanan that he came out with a couple of years, or last year or something. It was all about this country is not going to be white anymore. Well, it happened this week. It's not going to be
true, by the way.
What's not true?
I don't think more white babies were born this week.
No, less white.
No, I don't think whites are a minority in babies.
No, they are.
But they're counting the mixed race kids. That's like 5 to 6%. I think we should get some credit for those kids. Like the minorities, they claim Obama, they claim Derek Jeter. We should get part of them.
So a point well taken.
When you start talking about that, it raises for me how incredibly racist our society is becoming. And it's been racist for a very long time, but it's coming to the fore. When Martin Luther King walks through Cicero, and he's gotten more death threats than any president in U.S. history. You see, the stop and frisk stuff in New York disproportionately targeting black kids and Latino kids. The stand your ground law in Florida is racist and it's meant to target people of color.
But see, this is again
incredible right now.
You don't think of just the fact that we had one person in that big job. I agree, it is a big job. It doesn't mean that we're in a post-racial world, does it?
Would you at least acknowledge we have gotten less racist?
No, I think we're getting more. I think it's getting more racist. I think the Tea Party plays into that. I think the fact that we have a black president has brought out the racism in a lot of white people in this country.
I agree.
And they were keeping it in their pocket when Bush was in the White House. It's full-blown on the scene now.
Yeah, this is why he needs to be this crazy radical when he's really not. This is the cognitive dissonance.
He's better at their game than they are.
Yeah.
And they don't like him. And they're afraid of him. He's a scary black man.
They hate him. And they want a reason to hate him, so they make it about finances, but it really isn't about finances. Bush ran up the deficit. Bush ran up the debt. He has not spent...
Iraq. It's like,
right.
Iraq, everything.
Okay. I just want to ask one more question. That we're on to this thing about babies, most of them coming from Mexico. There's a war going down there in Mexico. And I